here we go. Now SCP reaction. Woo, man. Man, I'm totally not tired. I totally didn't just woke up and went into straight to recording. But enough of that. We are reacting to When Day Breaks SCP-096. I think when they said When Day Breaks, that one SCP or that one event where the sun goes up and everyone start melting, fusing together or something like that. I could be wrong. I think that's why it is. I could be wrong. But when day breaks means when the sun goes up. I think. I could be so wrong. But enough of that. You already know we reacted to SCP Explained Story Animation, though already fire. This is the second channel for the infographic show. Go subscribe to me and everything. I'll be happy to give them one more subscriber. And yeah, let's get it started. Okay.
What do you do when the sun turns wrong? When light, which once represented life, joy, and warmth, becomes a symbol of death and destruction? Do you hide inside? Shutter the windows, keep out the light by any means necessary?
Oh yeah, I also got gloves on. It's hella cold.
Where the sun's rays cannot penetrate, burrowing into the dark and the cold. Do you simply give yourself to it, accepting that there is no escaping something so vast, so far-reaching as sunlight itself, and allow yourself to be lost in the end of all things? We've covered this possibility before.
Okay, so I was right at the SCP-001 When Day Break. Like, if the sun touches your body, you start melting. Which is like, whoa. Whoa, son.
SCP-001
Whoa.
When Day Breaks, or ST.
Like, imagine, that would be so scary. The sun touches you, you like melt.
Might do in such harrowing circumstances. After all, we have always learned to love the light and fear the darkness. It turns our very understanding of reality upside down to have that paradigm shifted.
Yeah, that's tough.
The dark becoming safety and the light becoming death. The source of all life on Earth, of all warmth, transforming in an instant from the sun as we know it to an Apollyon-class SCP that melts all living organisms that cross in.
I was like, melt every organism. So I was like, it melts you and everything. And it fuses you if I'm right too. But imagine that though. Imagine that happened where event the whole world, if you're outside the sun, you just melt. Imagine that. Imagine the livestock we have. Imagine the system that we have. The food and everything just gone. Imagine that. It's scary.
To its gaze.
It's very scary.
What about a being that has always feared the light? Something
96.
that prioritizes solitude and never ever wants to be seen.
SCP-096.
Out those darkened days.
Fire
Today
SCP.
we're taking a look at what happens when daybreak meets a familiar face, even if a constantly hidden one. SCP-096. SCP-096, or the Shy Guy, is something of a celebrity around here.
It is
a humanoid creature
famous.
with
I like him though.
Arms, pale skin, and a jaw.
He's one of my favorite SCP. One of my favorites.
Ordinary humans. There is only one thing above all else that this entity desires: for no one to see its face. When someone views its face, it flies into an uncontrollable rage and seems to have no other option but to destroy the person who has seen it. So it is unlikely that a creature so intent on solitude would be in much danger from the transformed sun. In fact, it might even be a positive thing, and for some time it was. With so many human beings gone,
I told you, see? It combines. Hell nah.
And merge with one another.
Hell nah, man.
Observe his face than ever.
Whoa, you guys already know. This is not my ad. You guys already know. If it's not, if I'm not, Frame, stop stuttering. If I don't get paid a single penny on these ads or something, I'm not going to show the ad volume. You guys already know we're going to skip it. But remember, guys, you get one my ad, watch the whole thing. Thank you for supporting me. But remember, there should be no ads. I'm doing this for free right now. For now.
He could stay inside and know with almost complete certainty that no one would come to bother him. No one was coming to look at him.
Okay.
And there were no more visitors, researchers poking and
prodding. So we just be roaming around
at his face. And so he stayed there, in the room that had served as his containment unit before the world turned upside down. The masses of flesh that once were humans did not concern him, as they never looked at his face. All he did was stay in his room and never go outside. The outside frightened him terribly, though he was not concerned with the deadly sunlight or the possibility of it melting him as it had so many others.
Okay.
He was much more afraid.
But where he melts, okay, it's weird. 'Cause, like, this guy's almost like, I won't say he's immortal, but he's almost like indestructible and all that. Like, you cannot damage him. He just regenerates everything and all that. His bone is really hard. Like, Frame, stop stuttering. I think so far there's like almost no SCP that went to a fight with him, SCP-096, and haven't broken his bone. I think
some unlikely survivor clinging to their original life might look at him, that they might see his face. That was simply too distressing to risk. He would much rather stay alone in his old cell, weeping softly in the shadows. One day, though we couldn't say how many days after the end of things it had been, he was weeping alone in his former cell. The days blurred together, spent the same way, and time had lost much of its meaning.
But like,
through
why?
The echoing sound of his sobs and the sloshing sounds of the creatures outside, a woman's voice cut through.
Yeah, this is
faint, but he could make out what she was saying. She was calling out for help, asking if anyone had any food or fresh water.
Oh, hell nah, man. This gonna go two things. Either one, he changed his mind and everything, where he may not kill when someone look at him, or two, the mom dying. I'm sorry.
Sound was getting louder, closer, accompanied by the disconcerting thump of her footsteps. She was coming down the hall, as much as it could be called a hall anymore. She was coming towards his room.
It's gonna be very dark.
His miserable peace. He heard her steps cross the threshold of his room, and her voice broke into a terrified scream, no doubt at the unexpected sight of a pale, naked creature weeping in the corner of what she expected to be an empty room.
Did she saw the face?
Startled by the first loud sound he'd heard in a long time, in a world that had mostly been silent since the initial outpouring of agonized screams.
How? And like, imagine that, like, you melting like this, though, the feeling and everything. It's like the brass and bull, man. No, hell nah, man. Miss me with that. Like, no. No.
He shouldn't. Ordinarily, he wouldn't, but he couldn't stop himself. There he saw a woman, wide eyes filled with tears, face streaked with dirt, a small child next to her holding her hand and clinging to her leg. Just as he saw the woman, she saw him. She saw his face. Anger boiled over inside of him, and he let out a scream, wild, primal, and filled with inhuman rage. She could not be looking at him, seeing his face. He couldn't let her. The woman ran with the child in tow, panicked by the wild roar and the sight of him standing upright before her. The anger faded as she left his sight, making her way down the hall and to the stairs. But then he remembered. She had seen his face.
There you go.
He could not let her leave. It was time to do something he never thought he'd have to do again. Hunt. His heightened senses picked up the sound of muffled footsteps.
Hell no, man.
The floor below him. She was
He's gonna break through
the floor.
He's gonna break through the floor.
His instincts kicked in, and his body moved almost of its own accord. He lifted his long arms above his head and drove his hands down into the floor. It was weakened by the ravages of the elements and time, and crumbled under his unnatural strength. He dug his claws into the plaster, tearing it apart and cracking it into pieces. He pushed his claws in deeper and deeper until he could feel them breaking through the other side. He pulled the floor apart until the hole was wide enough to fit through.
She's dead. I'm telling you, she is dead. I'm over here like, damn, this is gonna be very dark.
Fleeing through the door just as he landed. She was getting away. He tore after her, ripping through concrete and steel, destroying everything in his path in a mad dash for the object of his rage. He had to catch her. She could not be allowed to leave. She looked over her shoulder at him, her face a mask of pure terror. She knew, just as he knew,
that there was
no escape in sight.
In
his single-minded obsession and her desperation to escape from him, neither of them noticed that she had run so far and so carelessly.
The sun.
She was now outside the building. She had crossed from the shadows into the harsh light.
Is she gonna melt?
The woman's eyes widened in grim understanding of her fate. He could only watch helplessly as her body began to succumb to the vicious rays. Almost instantly, she began to melt.
That's tough.
As it was closest to the sun, her head was the first to go.
Low key, damn, her head first to go. Like, what you rather? Getting killed by 96 where he like, you know, start taking like, you know, ripping you apart and everything, or melting? I don't know, that's a hard one. That's a hard one.
Like hot wax, dripping as it went until it slumped off her face and landed on the ground with a sickening splash.
Hell nah.
Her eyes were next, popping out of their sockets and hanging loose and limp.
So what does this one do?
And dangling from sinewy strands. She tried in vain to stuff them back into place, but they squished in her hands like
hell nah.
She attempted to run into the comparative safety of the ruined building, but her feet were already beginning to spread out onto the street, melting into a sticky red smear on the pavement.
Hell nah. But we getting the come on, man. What's getting pretty good though? That's not. It is dark, like that is dark. Then we getting two really SP explain? You won't give me 2 ads? Really? At least I could skip the second one. You guys already know I'm skipping this one, boy. There we go. Pause on mute. Okay.
Crumbled
that's tough.
And she collapsed to the ground.
That's
her face leaving a trail of gelatinous flesh.
Hell nah.
She tried uselessly to drag herself along the ground back into the darkness.
Hell
her
nah.
arms were melting into the dirt, mixing with it into a horrible red mud. She let out a last scream of agony, but the sound turned to a thick gurgle as her lips fused together.
Hell
her
nah.
mouth melted into nothingness.
Hell
he
nah.
watched it all, sobbing and roaring in frustration. She was gone, and he would never get the satisfaction of ending her. The infernal sun had stolen her from him. Now, she was nothing but a wet shadow, like the rest of the humans had become long ago. He heard the sound of a soft sob behind him.
Is he gonna kill her?
Tiny human voice. He turned, looking for the source.
The only reason I'm saying it because I saw the thumbnail and he was like next to her, like holding her hand. Like I don't know.
Little girl. He had almost forgotten about her. She was calling out for her mother and crying, and she was looking right at him, right at his face. He waited for the anger to overtake him, but instead there was nothing. Why wasn't he angry? She was looking at his face.
Yeah, like.
Then he realized her eyes were on him, but she did not see him.
Oh, she's blind?
She was blind. She approached the creature, her arms outstretched, following the sound of his crying. She touched his hand with her own tiny fingers, so small and fragile, and asked, "Mommy?" Then he felt something he had never felt before.
Love? Something
tenderness,
like, yeah, there you go. By love, I mean like someone, you know, like kindness and all that. Not like, come on, guys, don't think like that. Man, I'm digging myself a grave. You guys know what I mean by love.
Ever felt warm? Ever felt anything but sadness, anger, or fear? Overcome with this softness, he wrapped his arms around the child and hugged her close. She hugged him back tightly. The room went quiet as they both stopped crying. From that day on, they became a family of sorts. They lived together and he took care of her. She didn't know what he looked like and had no idea he might be something to fear. To her, he was safety. He was home.
This kind of cool.
Long, awful life, he felt like a human instead of a monster.
It's kind of cool.
He would scavenge food for her, bring her fresh water, lay down stolen blankets and pillows.
So like, it doesn't affect him, the sun, right? I could feel like he's just going to generate back. That's why he's going outside and to scavenge, or is he scavenging inside the building?
So she would have a soft place to rest.
He
even found her a ratty, worn teddy bear amongst the rubble and gave it to her as a gift.
Oh, so
he just clutched it to her chest and thanked him. And for once, his tears were those of joy. In this cursed world, they had found something like happiness in one another. He knew he would protect her, no matter what. Then one day, everything changed.
What happened?
The creature and the little girl were playing in the abandoned site.
Something came in?
Making up little games together. When he took a break to look out at the window and monitor their surroundings.
There's like monsters around them, right? Is this what happened?
Outside, the evil red sun waited. When he turned back, the little girl was gone. One of the shadowy creatures, once human, was imitating his voice to lure her away.
Oh, hell no!
In the distance, and her tiny footsteps following it. He chased after her, the only thing he had ever loved, and saw her just as she stepped out into the light. She screamed as
that's tough.
Light, and he knew what he had to do. He grabbed her and pulled her back inside, using his body to shield her from the horrible rays. As he wept over her, his tears stopped her body from melting any further.
Okay.
But his body continued to fall apart.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's gonna melt away.
He ran as far as he could. Once he transformed, he did not want to end up hurting the girl. He ran until his legs melted away and he could not run anymore. He had reached the shoreline.
What?
Stared out at the ocean.
Like, I'm confused. Okay.
To move anymore. He screamed a final time in agony, in heartbreak, in mourning for the happiness he had finally found and now would lose. But at least he knew, as his eyes melted away and he was nearly gone, that the girl would be safe.
How you know that though?
He was gone, and the world was quiet.
So you could, okay. That's weird, confusing. What's the effect of the sun? Like, Shaka does have some regeneration factor, you know. It being like, you know, crumbled to just bones and all that, and then he regenerated the back. Like when the Foundation was coming in with, like, you know, machine guns, rocket launchers, and all that, it was just bones, and he just regenerated them. But like, wow, and then I just laughed. That's it. That was good. I liked it. I don't remember me doing that much commentary on it. I was into it. That was fire, man. That was good, but that's tough. Like, I was thinking, like, oh, maybe like the sun when he killed him, because let's say, oh, he does melt, but I guess it also melts his bones. His bone also melted, which is like weird. Like, it being, you know, like, I don't know if you guys know. I think this is canon. He did fought the reptile SCP, the SCP-682. I think that's the SCP number. The one that is like the immortal reptile. He did fight him, and that reptile threw like acid that melted and all that, and just left it with just the bone. Like, how strong is the sun? Like, the sun, the effects that gave the red sun, which is melting people, how strong is it? Like, it couldn't be that much stronger than magma, like lava, but I could be wrong. Either way, that was fire. I like that. That was cool. I like that. But hey, that's enough. You guys already know. You guys know what this means. We're the end of the video, which means, guys, hit the subscribe button. Road to 5,000 subscribers. I know we can make it. Come on, guys. I know we can do it. But the end of this year, let's see if we could get like 5,000 the end of this year. I don't know. We're going to see. Hit the like button too. Supposed to be even more. Turn on notifications. We're going to want the early game, which means you could be here first in the comment section, which brings me to the comment section. You could tell me a game to play. It does not have to be a Roblox game. You could tell me a video to react to, but please link the video down in the comment section so it'll be easy for me to find. And friends, stop stuttering. Or you can say hi or how you doing. I will always try to reply back to you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's your boy Frame.